Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push.
Man, what an intro.
All right. Thanks for joining Knowledge to Currency. My name is Senator Porter.
I'm Roosevelt Williams III.
And today we have Zabie from Kreativhaus. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed to be here. Thank you guys for allowing me to be here in your presence.
No, thank you for being on the show. You got a unique story, and I want to kind of tell about your journey, about your business, about entrepreneurship, and so on. Are you from San Diego?
So yes, I was actually born and raised in San Diego, but my parents, I'm first generation from immigrant parents. So,
okay.
Yeah, my parents had migrated here during the Afghan and Soviet War.
Okay.
So they had two kids before me.
Okay.
And then I was the first of the family here, but so. You can call it still an immigrant based on.
So there's three of you?
There's actually a total of four of us.
Four.
Yeah.
I met your brother. So you have a sister?
Yeah. So I have an older brother.
Yep.
I have a older sister, and then myself, and then my younger brother.
What's your older brother's name?
Rafi.
Hey, shout out to Rafi, real cool dude.
That's right.
They came to one of my parties I threw.
Yeah,
He's in mortgage business, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about your I guess growing up. You grew up in San Diego. Where'd you go to school and whatnot?
So my youth years, my elementary Gage Elementary, Pershing Middle School was middle school, and then the old stomping grounds of Ricky Williams. I went to Patrick Henry High School. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So then you get out of high school. What happens next?
Man, my childhood was. Man, my parents. You see, so let me just backtrack real quick. My parents did their best at raising me for what they knew.
Right.
You know, they're parents that came to this country that didn't speak the language,
sure,
didn't understand the culture.
Right.
You know, they're in a cesspool of just multiple different cultures and races, where they previously lived. Their first part of their lives, it was all Afghans,
sure,
right? Being like 99.9%.
Right.
So they did their best at raising me as what they knew, but what that consisted of was being locked down at all times, not being able to do anything. The thought of me even saying I have a girlfriend scared me, to my parents.
Sure.
So after high school was kind of that's when it all kind of, I guess, went uphill, or that's when life happened. Because that's as soon as I got my first little taste of freedom, and as soon as I, got the keys to my first car, and that's whenever I also started seeing what trouble felt like.
Oh, so you got in trouble. Let's talk about that. What kind of trouble did you get into?
I mean, I guess we'll start it off right away. I wasn't the poster child.
Sure.
That's for sure. Growing up, I've always said, I was always sincere. I was always genuine. And I still am. It's just in my DNA. It's who I am. But for somebody that came kind of, from my background and where I came from, it was I just wanted an opportunity to just, and I didn't know that this was what I wanted.
Sure.
I just, now looking back at it, and I see that this is all I wanted. I just wanted to know. I wanted to, know the unknown. I wanted to know what it felt like to go to the movies with your friends. Right. I wanted to know what it felt like, to be normal, man. Have a sleepover, right? I just wanted to be, or at least this is what the media talk, what normalcy is, right?
Sure.
And
see you on TV. Which a lot of people go through that.
Right, man. And so, Full House did a hell of a deal. I mean, man, it's just
Family Matters and Fresh Prince.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You feel me? Right. And so it all kind of started 18 was kind of how I would say the entrepreneur journey or my university of life lessons started.
Sure.
It started previously on that too. With little segments throughout my lifetime, but 18 I started my first company with me and at the time my two best childhood friends who today are still close friends of mine.
That's cool.
We started a company called If You Only Knew Productions.
Okay.
And so we worked, we're 18 years old. We've never gone out. And here we are throwing some of the, if you look it up on YouTube, you could probably find it, U is spelt with a U. We threw, if not the biggest 18 and up parties in all of San Diego downtown, probably ever in history.
Okay.
So the whole back in the day, whenever, if you guys remember the decos and the belows and all that. Yeah, we kind of spearheaded that movement.
Okay.
And so that was great. That was cool. That was exciting. That also opened up the first chapter of Trouble, which landed me in federal prison.
Oh, no. How long were you locked down for?
So I was, my total time incarcerated in federal prison was 18 months. My total time in there. It's actually 18, 20 months, my total time there. And then that carried on another additional sentence of a year out on the street. Okay. So all in all, about 3 years.
And then obviously your parents were not happy about this.
Absolutely not. My parents were bless them. They did their best to maintain my reputation with amongst our community of Middle Easterns by telling everyone that anyone ever asked, where is Zabie? Oh, he's studying abroad. At a different university. So I came back and my some of my cousins were hoping that I learn how to speak German, but little did they know I was locked up right down the street, man. I was over there in Market and 4th, but while they lived on Market and 10th and had no idea. But I mean, eventually got out, right? But it's just funny. It's funny. It's going somewhere, going to the unknown. Man, it was. I look back at it. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. What I learned was something that there's no amount of money that a course in school can teach you. Now I don't recommend it.
I'm sure. I guess glorify it, but it's something that you learn from.
Yeah, it makes you.
Which is good. So. The reason why I wanted to kind of hit on that is because you're a successful business owner now, and a lot of people, they have that as baggage or something that weighs on them for years, like through their whole life. So you got out. Did you start another business, or did you have to get another job?
So that's a very important. It's a very important thing that you just touched on, and let's just stay on that topic for a quick moment.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know a lot of people that are listening to this are probably people that have faced that situation, young men, women that are experiencing that right now. When I got out, I remember I kind of like went through like a mental breakdown, because I was just like, man, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I can't even get a job at McDonald's. Like, I know who I am. I know what I could qualify for.
Right. And you're like under 25.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, like, I can't get licenses. I can't. Like, I'm so restricted, right? It's like you're giving me a reason to sell drugs.
Right. Which is not where
let's call it what it is. You're giving me a reason to do, like, you're giving me a reason to do the things that I shouldn't do. But yet you're telling me that when I fill out this application to not lie,
right?
About my job, my fill out application for work to not lie, to be honest, and when you do so, it doesn't matter what accolades that application holds, you're denied.
Right.
There's not one application I've ever filled out at that age or at my lifetime ever that whenever I looked for a job where I was honest and I put I have a felony and that they ever called me back. Not a single person ever called me back.
Right.
But there's also applications where I did the same and I didn't put that I'm a felon and I got a call back.
Right.
Right. And so that's very important. It's a very important topic to touch on because it did mess me up mentally.
Sure.
I did go through a breakdown. I remember like smashing the wall and crying about it to my parents. Right. Like but that's where I think with pain, man. I think with pain, frustration, and like, just hurt comes growth, man. There's so much growth behind that. Yeah. So on the flip side, to me, it's what transcended me to where I'm today.
Yeah, I saw a social media post, and it was saying you a lot of times when you have a setback, some people say they're buried or are you planted. It's one or the other. It's how you look at it, right? Yeah. So if you're buried, it's over, you're dead. Right. But if you're planted and you keep working, you give it time, those roots grow, it comes through the soil, and you make life. So you were kind of buried at that point.
I remember this gentleman in there. He would always say, it stuck with me. He would always say, "Hey, Zabie, it's just a minor setback for a major comeback."
Yep, that's true.
Just instilled it in my head. It's a minor setback for a major comeback. You learn a lot. You learn a lot, and so that happened, and which forced me to just be a hustler. Just be an entrepreneur. Just be a hustler. Just figure things out. And I kind of just started, moving along with the concept of, throwing a bunch of spaghetti against the wall, and whichever one sticks, each one of those is an idea.
Right.
And I'll just hold on to those ideas until whichever one falls, and whichever one's the last standing, well, that's the one I venture out to. Now, at that age, it's okay. At that age, you have time, right? Yeah. My brother, Rafi, would always tell me at a young age, he said, doesn't matter how much money you have in the world, doesn't matter how rich, how wealthy you are. He said, the one thing that you have that I can never get back, no matter how much money I have, is time.
Right.
He's like, you have something that is so of value that I envy, that I will never get back.
Right.
So don't waste it, right?
Right.
So it's not. But at that young age, it's not wasting. It's more of it's the ability of being able to explore, because you don't have the responsibilities of probably at this age now a family, right?
Sure.
Kids, right? Maybe
responsibilities
financially, right? But then at that age you do, right? You could take the biggest risks. I mean, look at some of the biggest, most successful celebrities, right? Artists, entrepreneurs. I'm pretty sure that came with large risks behind it, right?
Absolutely.
And so at that time I took a risk. I was always trying to find a way, to make a buck. What's gonna work. I went from like doing cold calls when I was 16 for my cousin's mortgage company during summer break.
Yep.
To and I can't say which company, but let's just say that taught me a lot, right?
Right.
And so I met this gentleman. We'll just keep his name off the record. But I met this gentleman, and we befriended one another, became very good friends. Almost like brothers. And he had a company, a staging company at the time.
Okay.
And so and at that time I actually was in partnership with a Metro PCS location.
Okay. So you selling the phone.
Yeah. So I had I had one of three locations. And the one that I went heavy in, as far as my investment goes, was actually where the majority of my money was tied into, was the worst was the worst of the 3 performing stores.
Oh no!
And so I was literally losing my investment.
Right.
Like
And that's a tough hustle too.
Man, it was a very tough hustle. This is whenever Metro was like fresh, brand new, out, like coming out to San Diego. It was like, you know, it was new, right? And I remember he'd see me work, open and close every day, just grinding, and you could tell, man. I had bags under my eyes, like, you know, I'm 23, I think, 23, 20, like I'm young, 23, 24, like I'm tired. Like, you can tell I'm working.
Right.
Every single day. And he comes up one day, man, and he says, hey, and he would always come by and see me and visit me after he'd be done working, because he lived in downtown. Mm-hmm. He said, hey, listen, man, why don't you just come work with me? Just, you know, come move stuff with me. I'll pay you $100 a day. So I said, look, man, I'll work here, open and close up shop. I'm gonna go work with you, make that money, come back, use that money to pay my employees' payrolls.
Right.
I'm this young, right, trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I started working with him, and in the process of me working with him, I started understanding, like, oh, this is cool. I see what you're doing. He owned a staging company.
Right.
Man, you should have seen some of the stuff I used to do, man. It was horrible. It was horrible. You would not let me touch your house. It was ugly, man. It was ugly. Oh my God, it was horrible. But nonetheless, I went from something that I was desperate, you know, because I needed to make money, till I sat there where I was just like, you know what? There's a lot of money being left on the table here. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that could be done differently. And so through that became the journey.
Okay.
It was the journey. So that became the journey of me just discovering, getting, you know, falling more into this world, this business.
Right.
And then, as always, my story, my 20s had to be, you know, there had to be a plot twist.
Right. Things
are going good. It's going good. It's going great, man. And boom, I'm back in jail.
No.
This time.
How did this happen?
This time, man. This time it was actually for 3 years.
Oh no!
Again, but in and out. And so this is the last time I can tell you. That's not for sure.
All right.
But I speak about this because, again, there's nothing to be proud of here. But right, this is just it's life. Everyone's life plays out differently, right? Everyone has a different movie. There's a reason why this movie has so much attention versus this movie having, you know, X amount of attention, right? It's not perfect, but we all have the opportunity to make it the perfect ending. Right. And so that happens. And so now dealing with that case to where it's finally closed out. That one was a state sentence. The first one was a federal sentence.
Okay.
And so I learned. I went to university again.
Right.
And the first university I went to, we can call it Harvard and Stanford, right?
Sure.
The second university I went to, man, we can call that survival.
Okay.
That was the second university. Harvard and Stanford was the first university, the federal prison. Federal prison. The second university, that's where I almost died. You know, that's where I really had to learn. I really had to learn. I had to watch when it looks like I'm not watching, and listen when it looks like I'm not listening.
Right.
I had to learn how to read people. You know, I had to learn that the person in front of me that's sitting down right now, eating, smiling with me, is the same person that's going to try to stab me in the back of my neck whenever I walk away from the table.
Sure.
You know,
it's a way different world.
It was a way different world, man. It was a way different world. And I say this because, well, that almost happened.
Right.
And so, you know, there's a lot of things that transpired through that journey where it is now has created Kreativhaus. I say this because when I was in there, I did what I had to do to get a phone.
Right.
It's not something that's available, it's given. I'm sure, you know, some of the guests that's listening to this podcast are aware of that as well, right?
Sure.
You got to do what you got to do, and you get it. So I had my phone, and I remember telling myself, I did not deserve. I'm not going to play the victim role because I don't like people that play that victim mentality.
Sure.
What I will say is that the sentence that was given was not conducive to
The offense.
the merits of the case.
Sure.
Okay, if that's the best way I can put it. I'm not gonna say I wasn't. I'm not gonna say that I wasn't responsible, right? I was definitely not innocent, but there's two sides to every story.
Right.
Okay, but I took it the way it wasn't even taken like a champ. I took it. I had to take it. It is what it is. There's no choice, right? The only choice I had is how do I want to mentally react to it. So I remember telling myself, man, I went in there. Here I am now at my company. It's going good. It's going good. At least it's going as good as I think that it could get.
Right.
And then poof, it just goes away, right? And so I have the phone in there, and I'll never forget this day. You might know who he is. I'm not going to say his name out of respect for the podcast, and just I'm not going to say his name. He calls me, and he tells me. He says, by the way, I knew nothing about marketing.
Right.
You know, I didn't know that I was such a good marketer.
Sure.
So I knew nothing about marketing, yet I didn't know that I was such a good marketer.
Yeah,
that I was just doing it. And so here I am. Because before when I was working out when I was in the streets working, I was just working.
Right.
So and now I'm in here and I can't do nothing other than work on
Marketing.
the phone.
Yeah.
And so here I am doing stuff on Facebook that I never did before, posting certain ways I never posted before. I'm catching myself. There's a guy I used to watch on YouTube for a long time, and I just give him my attention, and it was just something entertaining. It wasn't even anything educational. Until now, I'm locked up, and I'm like actually reading his ad copy, and I'm actually looking at the ad copy for the first time ever. And I'm like, every single video has a very strategically, professionally polished up written ad copy.
Right.
And that's when I learned about branding.
Right.
It all started to make sense to me. So I started applying it into my business. Company. And here I am all of a sudden. That business I had at the time is blowing up. Blowing up in the sense of like we're doing way more business than we ever did before.
Right.
The partner calls me. Furious. Hey, Zabie. What's up, man? Whenever you get out, you're no longer a 50% partner anymore. Well, what are you talking about, man? Like, no, the work is crazy out here. You're not out here. I'm breaking my back. Well, yeah, man, I'm bringing you business. Isn't that what we wanted? Yeah, but you need to be out here, and when you get out, you're not gonna be 50% partner no more. I'm gonna start you back down to. Here I am, like, wait, how are you telling me this? I have 50. How are you gonna tell me you're gonna take down my partnership? But in there, if you let somebody control your emotions, you're gonna fucking go crazy.
Right.
Because
you can't get out.
You can't. You can let them do it, and it'll drive you crazy.
Right.
And I learned this through my prerequisites at Harvard.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
And so, so I said, okay, click. I swear to God on my mother's soul, that is exactly the conversation and how it ended.
Right.
Okay, click. Didn't fight it. Didn't argue it. Didn't say a word about it. I swear to God, that's exactly how the conversation ended. That click was the exact moment that Kreativhaus was created. At that exact moment, I started jotting down on paper and pen. Actually, not pen. They didn't have pens. Paper and pencil. That's best case. Worst case, but worst case is crayon.
Right.
But I started jotting down. That's the blueprint of what Kreativhaus was. Now I didn't know Kreativhaus. I didn't know the name at the time, but I knew that I was creating something.
Right.
And I started, and in the process, started discovering Gary Vee.
Oh yeah.
I started discovering other entrepreneurs, and I discovered this book that I picked up on reception called Steve Jobs.
Right.
And what's wild about that book is that this book was a book that I purchased when I was on the streets, that was just sitting on the table as a
Just show off.
It's a show off. Never did I open up that book once in like the 6 years I had it.
Right.
Until I find the book at reception. and I read it from front to back, back to front. And I learned about Apple, and I learned about the way Steve Jobs created Apple. And I learned about the functionality of how Apple's ecosystem is all perfect within each other. Because if you've ever put an iWatch to an iPhone, to the iPad, to the iMac, to the iTunes, it all synchronizes together. So it's the perfect ecosystem.
Right.
And that was the moment that Kreativhaus got created, because the perfect ecosystem was in my mind at that time. Kreativhaus design, Kreativhaus production, Kreativhaus realty, Kreativhaus escrow, Kreativhaus lending. It all ties within one another, right? And as the time has been progressing, it's always been something that, like, it's always been the long end goal of mine. You know, creating that perfect ecosystem for a client or for a potential agent. You know, there's so many companies to get recruited from the EXPs to the Compasses, right? To so many heavy hitters. And now it's the Real, right? Now it's the Real, right? The Real is new, right? It's kind of a spinoff of EXP, right? There's so many different companies, right? And so my whole thing is, well, what about creating something where a new agent, right? The majority of agents are new agents. A new agent has access to everything, right? Because that's Compass Concierge, right? But they're still outsourcing the product, right? Paying high premiums, right? They're still, I mean, they're not even paying high premiums. They're paying retail costs at a you know, at a position to where they're able to outsource the work. But what if you own the entire operation in-house? So it's always been, that's kind of where Kreativhaus got created, right? And so it's just kind of been like and so that's where the name as well came from. I just wanted to keep it to where it was very unique, and uniquely spelled at that. But I leave it at this. At that time, I remember people used to harass and talk fun, and talk smack, and they'd want to play cards or play dominoes, and like, I'm busy, man. I'm jotting down some stuff. They're like, who are you, man? Mr. Businessman. That was my nickname, Mr. Businessman. But it was said in a very condescending, like, disrespectful way. Right. Look at me now.
Look at you now. Because we were just talking about that. Like, when I met, like, in LA, we were up and we met some girls that do interior design. And they're tall, blonde, like they got the pink bag and all that. So then when I first met you, you don't look like own a staging company or like your wife owned a staging company. No, you like, I own a stage. I'm like, for real? And then see your work, and your work is good.
I appreciate you, man.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's and look, in anything, man, I've used that. I have used that to my my advantage. You know, I'll be, and you could do that in anything, man. You know, if you're a pretty girl with a pretty face, you know, but you got brains to back it up, man, use that to your advantage. Right. You know, use that to your advantage. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. The only thing wrong with that is not understanding that you have it, right? And then, but you know, there's abusing it, and then there's using it, right? And so it really just comes down to, you know, the level at play of how your mind thinks.
Right. So then let's talk about the success of your business, because when I first met you, you guys were just kind of getting started to compare to where you are now. That's 5 years.
Wow, is that damn?
Yeah, so
2008, what, 18, what, 19, 20, 21, yeah, we're almost right around there, 4 years out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when I met you, you just started it. You gave me a shirt and a hat. I still rock the hat to the gym.
Yeah, I see that.
You know, so I always show respect. Oh, you got some new swag?
I gotta get some new swag.
I gotta get some swag for the show too. That's my next thing. But one of the things, your energy's always amazing. You know, I didn't know you. You didn't know me, but we just kind of clicked.
It's an inside story, man. The crispiest beard in the game.
Yeah, crispy beard in the city.
Crispy beard that ended. I woke up on a couch.
That's a whole other.
That's a whole other story.
But then, with your marketing, like your Facebook marketing, how you would just every place you're at, I'm like, man, this dude pops up every time I open my phone. I see him.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy you say that. Man, I was talking to my employee yesterday. He just left on his first 2-week vacation, my manager for my company, and I just sent him off his way. I said, man, enjoy it, because I wish to be in your shoes. I don't remember the last time I had a vacation,
right?
But enjoy it, and for a moment, man, I sat back and I was in the warehouse and I was looking around, I'm like, you missed it, man. You came in like right towards the end. I said, Kreativhaus was, I just had to be there. You had to experience it. It was something else. It was something else. Like, it was the hottest thing in the game. And I'm sure you can agree. And it's not even, and I know you're not even saying this as a host, on your show, to your guests, but I know that you know this, and it struck. It's not even me saying this in a way of bragging. It's more of like it's a way of a reminder. Like, man, I in the game of leveling up, you could also make the mistake of getting comfortable at a certain level.
Sure.
And that's just me speaking facts.
Right.
It's me speaking facts.
To me, whenever I saw you, I was like, man, we're doing good, but I want to do this next. And you'd always tell me, like, I'm working on this. And then you met Mayweather. You're like, I want to work with Mayweather. Like,
that's crazy. I know, that's a true story. That's crazy. And I still don't feel like I'm doing enough, man.
Sure.
I still don't feel like I'm doing enough, and I don't know when that'll ever be. I've always said to myself, me giving the world to my parents will make me the happiest person, but I'm giving them as much as I can, but I don't know, man. I don't know, all I can say is those that you feel inspire are inspired by the inspiring,
right?
And so it's a daily reminder, and that's kind of where I've been. That's kind of where I've been with myself right now too. It's just it's reminding myself this daily,
sure.
Right? Becoming more humble through the process. I'd say in the beginning I wanted it all. Right. Now it's the quality that I want.
Okay.
Right. It's the quality that I want. Right. It's the quality that I want that I'm able to control.
Sure.
I remember that was a big deal for me. Quality control. Right. I remember it was a big deal for me that I just wanted it all. Now that wanting it all got my name out there. It did. Right. And then eventually, you just get to a point, man. You can't make the sandwich perfect every time.
Okay. Right.
You can't make the sandwich perfect every time.
So then one thing I would like about you is you give people chances, like, to work with you, like maybe young people that are struggling or whatever. Right. You'll be like, hey, come work for me.
I would say the people that McDonald's sleeps on, those employees are probably some of the best hires you're not some of the best hires you're not hiring.
Right.
And so what I mean by that is I believe in I'm big on energy, man. Energy to me is huge. Unless you did something horrific, right? And we could all speak on that without speaking on that,
sure.
Right? We know what that is, right? Unless it's something horrific, there's I believe that just talk to me, talk to me, and through my university, university degrees, I like to say I'm a good judge of character at this point.
Right.
I'll be able to read, and sniff out the BS or not. Right. And so just over a period of time, you'll just learn. And so some of the best employees I have are the people that I trust them, man, with the world. I could leave. I've had times where there's been stuff, left, from money to just whatever, right? Not a single dollar has moved its direction. Not a single, just trustworthy people, man. And in addition to that, I'm very proud, very proud whenever I get text messages or calls from agents saying, man, you have some of the nicest young men that I've ever met in my life that was at my house today working, for you.
And then from all races.
Yeah, from all races.
Black, white,
yeah.
Latino.
Yeah.
You got any questions you want to?
Yeah, man, I just, want to applaud you because when I first met you, you was very approachable, relatable, and, solid. And by listening to your story, I was able to learn a little bit about the power behind the shield.
Well, I appreciate it.
And just knowing that, you started at one point, through your genesis, you went off and then, became, I don't want to say you were buried, but you were planted. Because even how you use your ideology, even when you had to go to a survival mode, you still use your tips from being at Harvard and Princeton, sort of say. I really appreciated how you were humbled when you got out. You had them smiling and dialing at the Metro. You might have seen me down there too because I was moving those Obama phones down there.
Yeah.
But that was good though. And then just to you took it in stride, and you picked and learned from the family and from your environment. You had to see it and act like you were seeing, listening, like you was in listening, being observant. And now look at you. So it's a testimony. Before you are a giant, you got to be that grasshopper. You know what I mean? And then the evolution. But I really like how you're lending a hand to others that may need that opportunity. Yes. Because with opportunity comes a limited amount of success. So to answer your question, Nakia, I got two questions. Are you hiring? Because I know individuals that have those, those felonies on their record. However, they're good stand-up, staunch characters that I can vouch for. And then number two, how can our viewers find you?
You can find me, to answer your first question, number one, absolutely. I'll never pass up on good talent. So that's your answer. I'll be hiring until the wheels fall off. Number two, they can find me. Instagram would be the best place, easiest place to find me. It would be at Home Goods Poppy. That's so Home Goods Poppy, all one word.
I'll make sure to post it in the description.
Man, that is the greatest. That is the greatest screen name in history.
Yeah, man. Success leaves clues.
Yeah,
that one up. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yo, true story behind that one, man. My screen name used to be I Am Zabie, right? I was the joke. I don't know the joke because I was a lot more. My beard was really chiseled at the time. Let's just say it like that, right? And I always bumped Drake. Like that was all I listened to at one point. And I think the Home Goods probably came around the time, maybe a little bit. Remember that? What was the album? If we're reading this now, it's too late, or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it was way past that album actually. Yeah, it was way past that album because that album came out years ago. But anyways, it was around some time of the album, and his name was Champagne Poppy.
Oh,
and
so
I was just talking to somebody, and I was always at Home Goods, if you remember.
Right.
I was always at Home Goods. I was always posting at Home Goods, right? I was always posting I'd have these battles that I would post, and I'd get these free giveaways. I go to Home Goods probably 3 times a week, and my story would just me going to the register, and I would have a draw, and I'd be like, how much am I gonna spend? Over under $4,000, right? And over under 2,000, over under 1,000. It was always a large amount of money, right? It's that Home Goods repetitively on a weekly basis because that's when I was really building my stuff out, and it just became the guy at Home Goods, like everybody knew about Home Goods, and so then with that mixed with Drake and his being Champagne Poppy, I was like, well, it's only right, a Home Goods Poppy.
That's right.
And it stuck, yeah.
Success leaves clues, man. Yes, sir.
You got any big announcements before we let you go?
I mentioned Mayweather.
Yep.
He's a big fan of interior design himself, personally. His estate is absolutely beautiful, designed beautifully, and he had his finger on the entire design himself.
Okay.
And I have had the honor of not meeting him just once, but multiple times now. We exchange. We exchange text messages back and forth in the communication, and throughout the time, he has seen my growth through the opportunities I've got to cross his path again, and let's just say the seed has been planted with TMT, with a possible flagship launch of Kreativhaus with TMT and doing our flagship in LA.
Okay.
So luxury staging company.
Sick.
We would do a luxury staging brand, and it would be focused and geared in LA under the TMT flagship, and it would just be another puzzle piece in Mayweather's many businesses, and it would be an opportunity for us to keep what we're still doing here in San Diego, but create a monster of a staging business that's exclusively catered to the luxury for the high end deals. We're talking about $30,000-$40,000 price tag stagings, right? If not $100,000 stagings. If for LA clients, which is exclusively driven to by his friends, so celebrities and whatnot. It just all makes sense. Right. It all makes sense. It's everything all just kind of just intertwines to make sense. So that is that's something that that is in the foreseeable future.
Hey, Zabie, man, I got a new name for you, man. Posh Poppy. You know what I mean? Get your Posh Poppy on, man. Very nice, brother. Congratulations, brother.
Yes, Shout out to Mayweather as well.
Yeah, big love, big love.
Yeah. And by the way, on a side note, man, don't let the media fool you. That guy is one of the most humble, genuine, and one of the biggest hearted individuals I've never met him. Well, I've never met a man in my life in his
like
category of he's not human. Like in this category of his life, he's not human. I mean, the level of success is there's not many people on earth. Like, and you would think that somebody of that nature, that level of accomplishments, that level of money. I mean, the money is just crazy.
Right.
That level of money, you would think that they'd be arrogant, right? You think they'd be assholes. You think that they'd be like, man, shut up, peasant. Right? You think, right? You think, right? Man, he's more humble than the person with 100K in their account.
Right.
He's the most humble man. I've truly have never crossed an individual that is more genuine, more humble, more sincere. Just a good dude, man. A good dude with a good heart. Don't let the media fool you, man. That shit is not real. And if it does get you to not like him, it gets you to fucking give you his money. Give him your money because you pay to watch those fights. He's a smart businessman. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
But he's a genuine guy, man. When you meet him in person.
And there's one more question. Oh, if somebody wanted to use you for staging, like here locally, they just reach out to you on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram would be the best platform. Obviously, my number. You guys can always reach me out as well through my phone. But yeah, man, Instagram be the best place. Just shoot me a DM. Let them know that I was on the man, the myth, the only
Senator Porter and Cruzville Williams the third. Knowledge to currency.
Man, I love it. I love it. Let them know I was on this show, and I will. I'll see if I do a little something special for them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You hit him up. Get a little bit of special love.
There you go.
I like it.
Hit up Posh Poppy, okay? Let him
know what kind of organization or charity are you guys involved with, or have been thinking of wanting to get involved with?
Yeah, that would be him.
Young Black and in Business.
Well, there we go. So anytime anybody reaches out to us and they let us know that they were reached out to us through the show, we will go ahead and make a financial contribution towards the charity.
And that's what's up. That's what's up.
My man in the house. Blessings.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I definitely look at you as a great friend, but also a savvy business owner and a smart individual. So if you have nothing else to say, it's a wrap.
Man, hit him up immediately, man. Posh Poppy, baby. We just renamed him on Nasser Currency. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you. Hey, real quick, before we go,
yeah.
Can we tell them a story about the crispy beard?
No. That's between me and you.
Man, it was such a good time being here, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.